All you can say is wow. At the end of a super Saturday, what a hectic finish we had in Sharjah. I can also say I'm so glad that this frame that you can see doesn't show any more than you can see. There are tissue papers, empty chips packets, popcorn packets lying all over the floor here. I'm not going to show them to you, but they do represent the kind of excitement we've had, the kind of adrenaline pumping cricket we've had all this Saturday, but none better than at the end. It was a mathematics graduate who had the match in his hands if he could have done it. He knew the calculation, Rahul Tripathi, but at the end, a fabulous Yorker from Marcus Stoinis put an end to what was a scintillating game of cricket. Let's catch our breaths and remind all of you exactly what the run fest at Sharjah was all about. The highest score put on in this tournament so far, after being asked to bat by Dinesh Karthik, 228 for 4, and for the longest time it looked as if they could get there, but it would be too far away. And then when Owen Morgan started going, as only we know he can, it just became closer than we thought, closer than for Delhi's liking. Fabulous from Rahul Tripathi in the end, but 210 for 8. So close, yet so far. Joy Bhattacharjya, Simon Doull, still there as we've been all day, Joy. What a finish to Super Saturday.
Yeah, I think with those, couple of packets of popcorn and chips, you might have a few bowlers out there also strewn around, because it's been a bowler's graveyard today. I mean, they're probably better served giving you peanuts and coffee instead of, bowling out there today. This has been a massacre for bowlers. And I was just thinking, I was looking at the next match in Sharjah, and I think it's KKR RCB. And already all the bowlers were thinking, good Lord, one more match out here. Amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yes, indeed. We're going to be talking about that shortly, because that's going to be the next game. In fact, we're going to have another game in Sharjah back to back as far as that ground is concerned. But Simon, in those moments, as Joy said, if you're an endangered species, little moments like Nokia and that ball from Stoinis really stand out.
Yeah, they do. And I just had a quick glance through the bowling figures. And when we show them, you can see the two standouts. 8 overs, 5 for 67. Nokia, Harshal Patel. That's the difference. That's the difference in that game. 5 for 67. So not only have they been relatively economical in the context of the game, going for just over 8, but they picked up 5 wickets. And that is the thing. Andre Russell was economical, but didn't pick up wickets in that innings. So that's the big thing. Keep striking, keep striking, keep striking. They just lost their way a little bit, didn't they, in around that Andre Russell mark and Dinesh Karthik, and when Nitish Rana was out. Kolkata just lost their way, because I didn't think they were off to a bad start at 80 for 2. Things looked to be going along quite nicely. So they had an opportunity to be in the game almost throughout that first half, lost their way a little bit in that 11, 12, 13 over mark, and then almost looked like Morgan could take it away again. So another cracking game, but gee, the bowlers, the margin for error is that big if you're lucky. It's just crazy, and the power hitting is so impressive.
I keep thinking, every time we come to Sharjah, I keep thinking of Harsha's comment about landing at Sharjah airport directly and going to the visa officer and saying, occupation, bowler. And the reaction that you'd get. So just try not saying that. But yeah, since you did mention that, Simon, we've seen these numbers as a progression in the tournament so far. The trouble is, we need more people like Rahul Tripathi, who are graduates in mathematics, to keep these tables going. Look at that. We've only had 6 innings in Sharjah and already 96s hit, as compared to 81 in Dubai and 66 in Abu Dhabi in many, many more innings, more than twice the number. What do you say?
Sixes per innings, 15. Averaging per innings, averaging 30 per match, which is just ridiculous. And some of them, yes, there's a few that are going just over the boundary, Joy, but some of them are 6 on any ground in the world as well. They're not just clearing the boundary, all of them.
No, absolutely. I mean, there are 2 parts to it. It is a small ground and it is a belter of a track. So I think it's like they call a perfect storm. Both of those add up. But you're absolutely right. Some of those that Owen Morgan hit, I mean, you're landing on the top of the stadium, they were ridiculous 6s. I mean, and what happens, I think, also is that once somebody hits 3, 4, 5, 6s in the ground, others can say, they have the courage to go for it. They think, you know what, I can also hit it on this ground. And it sort of adds up, and they start hitting it harder and harder and harder. And it's just, after a while, it was unbelievable that at the situation they were in, KKR could come back and look legitimately with about 31 in 14 balls. They look legitimately capable of winning the game at that point in time.
And you add to that point the fact that we all said, look, this is the kind of inning that's set up for Russell Muscle. Well, Russell showed muscle for just 8 deliveries. He went, and yet they got so close. It just shows what if Narayan had actually given them a start? What if Russell had lasted 10 more deliveries? It would have been so much more different. 9.83 in that first 6 overs, a lot better than we expected. And then you were all right for that phase. As you said, Simon, you don't have to be 120 at the halfway mark.
Yeah.
No, you don't. Sorry, Joy, you go.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say one thing. I genuinely have this feeling that one of the things that you keep talking about Russell batting at the stage he is. The fact is, my problem with Russell is not, I think he's one of the finest hitters of the game. I don't think he's one of the fine constructor of innings. Now, a man who knows how to construct innings is somebody like Owen Morgan. He knows I'll get a 1, 2, I'm going to go at 8, 10, but I can still, Owen Morgan can hit 4 sixes in an over, 5 sixes in an over. He's capable of it. He just did it at the end. So I really feel that, maybe in this floating business, when they're looking at it, to ignoring the white ball captain, World Cup winning captain, who is one of the most experienced cricketers in the game, I think they're playing him too low. I think Owen Morgan is batting too low. I would have loved to see him there at 4 instead of Russell.
Yeah, spot on, Joy. I think last year KKR was struggling a little bit for that 5-6 area, and DK was up, he was down, he was in, he was out, and Russell was a bit the same. They've got a genuine world-class number 4 now, and obviously with Nitish Rana's form, he's going to be stuck at 3. I like that. At world-class number 4, then you can float Russell at 5 or 6 in and around Dinesh Karthik. Now he's struggling. He's clearly battling with things at the moment. DK's had 4 bats. He's got 37 runs, I think, in 4 bats so far this tournament. So he's clearly struggling. Maybe it's his job is to move further down the order, not everyone else's to sort of shuffle around. Get that settled top 5, and if it's not going to be Narayan, let's get Rahul Tripathi to the top to open up with Shubman Gill, then Rana, then Owen Morgan, then Andre Russell. And just stick with that 5 and see what happens. And maybe DK's job in this side might be to finish.
Interesting that we should be discussing Andre Russell probably a year and a bit after his infamous press conference where he actually said where he'd prefer to bat, and there was a bit of controversy almost. And today he actually got his wish. But I think both you gentlemen are spot on. It's a situation where he's padded up at the beginning, but when you want Morgan to go in and construct, and Russell can finish, and of course DK can do an additional finisher's role. So
yeah, I think that it just looks to me like that's a slightly more settled lineup. Russell was okay at 4 when they didn't have an Owen Morgan in the side last year. They were battling. They were looking for that number. Morgan's got power. He's not the size of Andre Russell, but you saw tonight he's got power to hit any bowler in the world out of the park.
Yeah, and DK sort of emphasized that at the end, saying that they trust in Russell and they want to give him more time to have an impact in the game. So obviously he was asked about that Russell at 4, is that the ideal position? But he also felt maybe not enough boundaries in that 10 to 14 over phase. Joy?
No, I think his biggest problem, I think Russell's biggest problem is what I call shot selection. At 10 to 14 phase, you don't need to hit 5 sixes in an over. You can hit 1 6, choose the ball that you're going to hit, muscle out of it. Take a risk if it's a 5th ball and nothing has happened till then. But don't take a risk on the 3rd ball when you hit a 6 on the 2nd ball. And that's the kind of thing that Owen Morgan is so much better at. So give him that time. I mean, he's a World Cup winning captain. He's one of the finest white ball cricketers of all time. Give him the opportunity. And Nitish Rana, I have to say, I really like the look of him this year. He's been amazing for them. Shubman Gill, Nitish Rana. There's some momentum building up there. If I were KKR, I'd say, we lost this game. We could have won this game. And we could have walked away and say that, for us to compete in this game after the way we started and where we went in the middle, we've got some very solid building blocks for the future here.
Yeah, Karthik also sort of confirmed that he was happy with the fighting quality. They might have gone down, but enough positives to take out. But yes, I think one more point to finish, Simon, on what Joy said. Choice of ball, but also choice of bowler. Yes, maybe we are talking about a decent record against has against Rabada, but Kagiso Rabada is Kagiso Rabada. Give him that respect. You hit him for one, hang in there.
Yeah, when you've got massive power like Andre Russell has, you don't have to give your stumps away and try and swipe as hard as you can at everything. He's got huge power. He can find his way to hit 3-4s in an over. He doesn't need to smash those sixes unless it's genuinely required. And pick your bowler. Look at your matchups. Him against Marcus Stoinis, I think, is a great matchup. Maybe against Harshal Patel is a good matchup. But against Nortje and Rabada, I'm not sure it's his best matchup right now. He's just, he's not in that realm where you think he's a genuine class batsman who stays in line, he can play the hook shot. It's more of a pull shot from outside leg stump when you're talking about Russell. So pick your bowler and pick your battle.
All the headaches we talk about, DK has pointed out the positives. What about the Narayan factor now? Is it time now to have a relook at that, given, as we said, 2 overs only he bowled today and again didn't contribute with the bat?
It's a taboo question in Kolkata. He's done so much. He's just iconic with the, Kolkata as a brand, Kolkata as somebody who's won 2 championships. He's the most successful wicket taker. He's done so much for Kolkata. It's difficult. But I think if you're a strong franchise, I think you need to look at it and say, it's time to be done. If you remember, I go back to Mumbai in 2013. Ricky Ponting was brought in as the captain of Mumbai in 2013. He was a captain. He was playing in this amazing team. He was not getting runs. They benched Ricky Ponting. Rohit Sharma came in as captain. They won a championship. Sometimes you need to take hard decisions to be where you are. And I just think at this point in time, I actually liked what I saw of Varun Chakravarti. He may not be a Sunil Narayan, but nobody may be a Sunil Narayan because he's truly one of the greats of T20 cricket. But
I think he's doing as good a job, if not better, at the moment. And you've still got Kuldeep in the wings. On the bigger grounds, I think they can bring him back in, Joy. And to me, it opens up a slot. It opens up a slot. Now, whether you want to play a Lockie Ferguson, whether you want to play another batsman, a Tom Banton at the top, and maybe have Banton and Shubman Gill opening the batting and strengthen that even more so, that's fine with me also. Ali Khan, who's been brilliant at the death in other T20 leagues around the world. Do you want to give him an opportunity? It does open up options, and I think even if it's only for 2 games to see whether it works, I don't think you're going to lose a huge amount. If Kuldeep comes back into the side, Chakravarti bowling as well as he is, I don't think you're going to lose an enormous amount. And if you say to Sunil Narayan, listen, mate, 2 games. I'm going to give you 2 games off. If it doesn't work, you're back in. So train, work hard. If it does work, get used to carrying the drinks, Chief.
Yeah, and you seem to have found yourself someone like Rahul Tripathi who's got the determination, he's got the form, he does bat at the top of the order. So if you go with Simon's plan B, which is one of the bowlers, either Ferguson or Ali Khan, then Tripathi slots up at the top, Joy.
Yeah, and I go back to something that I always do, which is pick up a KKR example in the past, of course, because that's the easiest thing that comes to me. But the point is, in 2014, KKR started succeeding when Jacques Kallis went out of the order and was replaced. Basically, Uttapa and Gautam Gambhir started batting. They started playing the extra bowler because Jacques Kallis at the top was no longer working for them. And then the team went on to win 9 matches in a row. It was a very, very hard decision. Mind you, the person who took that decision was part of the committee that took that decision was Jacques Kallis, who said that, I think there needs to be a change at the top. But I think, given what Sunil Narayan is, he's the first to put his hand up and said, let's look at options. This, at this point in time, is not working.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, that's 2 big names we've talked about there, Jacques Kallis and Ricky Ponting. Ponting very much around at the ground today, seeing his side get it 1 over their age-old rivals. And I think you'll have to give Delhi credit. We've talked a lot about Kolkata. We've talked a lot about the areas they need to improve. But Delhi will be pleased with plenty of areas. We've spoken about the batting, but I think there's enough, not just hope, but enough in there to look at Delhi being the long horse in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, they've got a quality bowling attack, and that's the thing for me. When you throw, I mean, Nortje, I've been impressed with Andrik Nortje. He, to me, was a guy I'd only seen a little bit of, knew all about the fact that he had raw pace, very passionate. Obviously, you know, my South African friends have always said that he's a really passionate, aggressive bowler, but he's been so impressive. Good slower balls. He's got good pace up the top. So you throw him with Rabada in there. You throw some quality spin in with Ashwin back, and I know it's not easy at this ground tonight. Mishra, Ashwin, they're not going to find it easy at the smaller grounds, but they've got the bases covered. When you've got a genuine all-rounder, a Marcus Stoinis, who can bowl you 3 to 4 overs and will bat in your top 5, every good quality side in this tournament has got one of those. And that's what you need to be a top quality side. I think they've got most of the bases covered, and you know they've got a little bit of experience at the top with Shikhar Dhawan, and then they've got great batsmen, young, talented batsmen who are doing the job for them.
And Joy, thanks to the overseas factor, poor Sandeep Lamichhane doesn't even get a go yet.
No, not just that. I think you'll know this well, Gautam. We go back to that age-old debate which every metropolitan city has: Delhi versus Mumbai, because I think they're the two gun sides at this point in this IPL. They are the good sides, but I think it's Delhi and Mumbai who's showing you the kind of class, quality of bowling, quality of batting. And what's particularly impressive about Delhi is they're doing it with almost a completely Indian top order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You just have maybe Hetmeyer coming in there. Otherwise, it's a very Indian top order, and it's working famously for them. It's allowing them to play those two international quicks that are making such a difference. And remember, Mumbai is the only other side, because of the same composition, who are playing two international quicks.
Yep, and that makes a lot of sense. And that, I think, counts when it comes to 14 games down for every side. It's the stamina that you have at the end of 14 games. What we're looking at is not necessarily the entire tournament. We like to look at the stamina of players at the end of a single match. And that's why we have our Boost Stamina meter. At the end of the day, one of the players we're picking on, let's have a look at the figures, and then we'll tell you all about it. For our Boost Stamina meter for the second game between Delhi and Kolkata, we've talked about him briefly. And I think when you're coming in with that gun pace, when you're coming in with those figures, you really have the kind of person you're talking about. Let's talk about him, Simon. You briefly mentioned Anrich Nortje. Let's look at him from a stamina point of view, because when you're coming in at the end of that, it might not be the daytime, but it's still hot out there.
Yeah, and it's the mental side of things as well. When you have to bowl those overs up front, it's a tough time to bowl. When you have to bowl overs at the back end of the innings, when you're under the pump, you know, you've just watched your international teammate, who is probably in your national side, the leader of the pack, in Rabada, go for 24. He's finished with 3 for 33 off his 4 overs. Rating of 88.2 points, which is very high. Average bowling speed 140 clicks, and when you think about probably 15 to 20% of those deliveries are going to be slower balls, so he's bowling in them good mid 140s. Dot ball percentage of 46 in a game where 430 something runs were scored. He's got 3 for 33. Absolutely superb.
So it's an exceptional bowling performance. And the other thing is, did you see him in the field? He was a gazelle in the field.
Yeah.
He was a boundary rider that off. Amazing. And there's one recovery where he, pushed a ball back, which would have been a certain 4, straight 4 being hit. The kind of fielding, so the kind of effort he's giving you is phenomenal. I think he's been a fantastic pickup for them. And he's just made that difference between being a quality side and maybe, just maybe, a championship side. I think he's giving them the difference.
Yeah, it was a great phone call to make, wasn't it, to get Nortje on board?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just one of those moments that make it. But I think of all the discussion you had over there between the two of you, we talked about numbers and fielding and catches and everything. But I think the one that really stays with me is seeing Rabada getting smashed at the other end. In a sense, a senior countryman, the far better bowler on paper at least, and he sees him getting smashed for 6s. What's he thinking? Then he comes in and sorts it out. So I think that really sums it all up for Anrich Nortje, and what a performance from Delhi. He obviously is going to be in our My 11 Ultimate Team of the Day with figures like 3 for 33. Let's have a look at that My 11 Circle Ultimate Team of the Day. Shreyas Iyer naturally leading the way. Prithvi Shaw, vice captain. Again, good to see. The younger, the Indian brigade coming in there. Tripathi slipping in right at the end. Owen Morgan, Nitish Rana, Varun Chakravarti, Andre Russell, and of course, Nortje in there. What a team if you had pretty much all those guys or maybe even 80% of those in your My 11 Circle team? Well, there was one person who obviously selected better than everyone else, our My 11 Circle Champion of the Day. And it's an award we've given at the end of a long day. Sivaraj Vasantaraj, Salem in Tamil Nadu. And again, keeping to a tradition that we've noticed here, Joy, I mean, there's a match between Delhi and Kolkata, and the winner is from Tamil Nadu. We've got a match between Chennai and Hyderabad. The winner is from Kolkata. So it's obviously, you don't have the pressure of choosing a team from your region. You tend to do a lot better. There's a pattern there, folks.
No, I absolutely agree with that, because you can do it calmly. You do it without getting your emotions involved. You're picking to win. You're not picking because you like the look of that player or this guy's in your team. There's one other interesting thing. If you look at this data, you wonder why in this match there's still 5 players from KKR. The reason is they're not enough Delhi Capitals batsmen got a chance to show what they did, because the top 4 or 5 just finished it for them. So what happens as a result is you can't have more than that Delhi batsmen. So teams that where 1 or 2 players dominate or get really big innings, their team actually tends to have lesser players in their final 11. So it's interesting how it goes.
Now, where the trend was slightly reversed was that it was a match between Kolkata and Delhi, and who would win the My 11 Circle Badge of Honor? A person who, well, has a connection to both these cities, lives in Delhi, or in a satellite city of Delhi, if I could say that. Originally from Kolkata. Actually, that's me as well. Oh dear.
Exactly.
But it wasn't me.
It's certainly not me.
It's not you. We just eliminate Simon from that. It was clearly between Joy and me, and I've been doing so badly. There's no way I'm getting even close. But a good call for 59. You not only win it, but you win it with the exact score. My 11 Circle Badge of Honor.
Yeah, I think Harsha is going to have something to say about it, because what he's going to say is, I had more matches. I had 2 matches to try and win something today. And, he's going to make a lot of excuses. Don't believe him. He's just a soul.
I want to lodge a protest, though. I mean, surely there's a half a point somewhere. I'm the only one that was brave enough to select over 200, and the score was 220 something. I understand that, but just a half a point for being brave enough to go over 200, maybe something. I'm looking for a little crumb of something.
You've got too much good food coming your way, Simon. There's no more crumbs. Sorry. Once you tell us that you don't have that fabulous menu in front of you, we'll think of the crumbs to come your way. But yeah, you're right. I think Harsha's back with us tomorrow. He'll have a lot to say. But we've got another person to mention for the day, because remember, it's been a long day, and I did nominate all 3 of us for the Boost Stamina Meter. But there is another player in that first game. Remember? Devdutt Padikkal, what an innings. We've seen him overshadow. Imagine batting with Virat Kohli at the other end, and today it was the Virat Kohli we remember. And this was a fabulous innings from Padikkal, 63 of 45, 96.3 points today on the Boost Stamina Meter, took 2 catches. And I think the one that we saw in the slips was absolutely outstanding. Those 99 fielding points, give him 999.
No, absolutely. And I think it's important to remember that these guys are batting for 14, 15 hours in that kind of weather, and then fielding for 20 hours and being a boundary rider. So, the kind of absolute effort that Padikkal has put in. I mean, okay, he's a young kid. He has the body to do it. And, right now he's just probably so pumped up in adrenaline that, it's all going. But it's an incredible effort, to field the way he did after batting for the amount of time he did is a superb effort. It was absolutely amazing.
So after that long day, 2 sets of matches, where do we stand? There's got to be a bit of movement on that points table. Let's have a look at that. As I said, it's been a long day, another long day coming up tomorrow, actually today. On Sunday, Delhi, victory, has to be right on top with 6 points. But guess who's joined them there? Bangalore. Don't say anything more about them. Don't say anything more about Virat Kohli. They are top of the tree. They are top of the tree. And Chennai, well, they've tried hard to stay where they are, and that's exactly where they are at the moment on 2 points. Kolkata somewhere in the middle. They'll be looking at that we've not done too badly, so we're somewhere in the middle. So still early days to make any judgment about where teams are, but you certainly can say a thing or two about where Chennai are and where Delhi and Bangalore are after some good performances, Simon.
Yeah, you can. And I mean, you look through that and you think, well, okay, there's been some amazing performances. The first thing that strikes me, the 2 leading run scorers in the tournament are playing for the team that's sitting second last on the board, KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal. sitting second last, having won 1 game from 4. So what wins you games? The bowling attacks. That's what's at the top. The better bowling attacks at the moment. The guys who are shining, the Navdeep Sainis, the Delhi Capitals bowling attack, which we saw tonight, Chahal, going really well. So those guys are shining. Bumrah's back in form. Rahul Chahar, Trent Bolt going well for Mumbai. So those guys are starting to shine. It's bowlers that win you 2020 tournaments. All right. So when you're picking your My 11 Circle teams, think bowlers. Think guys who are going to bowl you 4 overs, and they're the ones that win your tournaments. They're the ones that win your games. That's what I see from that small sample size of what we've got at the moment.
I just want to say that was heartfelt and that was totally unnecessary. I know you have to push bowlers everywhere. It was a really hard push. You need to go into advertising, mate, because the way you pushed it, bowlers win you everything. You just had a match where 400 runs have been scored, and he comes and says, "No, it's bowlers. Bowlers who win it for you. 400
It's all about the bowlers."
Yeah, well, you have to remember the fact that KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal, nobody else has scored runs for them. But yeah, think of the bowlers as well. That's okay. We'll see. We'll compare our teams and we'll see. But let's remember this run fest. They've just about finished. People are starting to go home in Sharjah. But those guys at the hardware store across, they are open all night because they're expecting 2 more teams to come in. First thing in the afternoon tomorrow, the run fest will continue. And look why. Mumbai and Hyderabad, 2 teams that have got some pretty serious hitters in their side. Imagine the likes of Rohit Sharma, Kieron Pollard, Hardik Pandya lining up to hit 6s in Sharjah. What a cracker that should be tomorrow afternoon, Simon.
Yeah, looking forward to that one. I'll be working on that one, so it'll be fairly warm in the afternoon, I can imagine. At Sharjah, when we arrive, we'll probably be there around about 12:30, I think, local time. I'm looking forward to it. The Sunrisers haven't quite hit their straps, found their mojo just yet, and Mumbai seem like they are slowly getting into business, slowly doing what Mumbai do well. So, yeah, looking forward to a pretty good contest.
And I'm sure Simon will also be selecting a lot of bowlers for that particular game as well. But
I'll have 7 in each team.
Perfect. But one bowler you cannot select, gentlemen, is Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, and that is going to be a concern, Joy, for the men in orange.
No, absolutely. I think Simon will give a better opinion of what happened, how many matches it could be, given the kind of injury he saw out there. But he's crucial to them because he swings the ball and he swings it at pace. And, Sanjeev Sharma can also swing the ball. Sandeep can also swing the ball. But that 125, 130 is no good in this level of the game. So without Bhuvi, that attack looks very different. And I genuinely feel that if Vijay Shankar is fit, they should look at exactly what Simon was saying. Simon, what do you think? Bring Stanley in?
Yeah, well, I think, it's going to be harsh on a Williamson or a Bairstow if they do it. But I just wonder for the one game, for that game in Sharjah, whether Billy Stanley can come back in, Vijay Shankar comes in, so strengthens the batting a little bit if you're going to drop one of the overseas out. And it just gives you that big fast bowling option to really take on Mumbai up front and maybe do something for you at the death as well. It's a tough ask, but even if you said, look, we're just going to try it for one game, we need to do something different at Sharjah. And as I say, it's a tough call on a Williamson or a Bairstow, which one misses out. But I think it would be nice from my point of view to see them get Stanley in if Bhuvanesh was out, because I agree with Joy. He is a massive loss for them.
And he's not alone, Simon Doull, in saying that. I know there's 2 other bowlers in our panel, but it's not just because of bowlers. They made an excellent point the other day, both Sean Pollock and Pommy Mbangwa, both who felt, and this was a while ago, they were just saying, when Hyderabad get to Sharjah, are they thinking of Stanley? Well, the time has come. It's imminent. It's tomorrow morning or later today. So it's really going to be a question of who they drop. But, it's a matter of making a sacrifice. Let's go to the opposition. Let's go to Mumbai and see what their slow, steady progress as we see tournament after tournament is all about in terms of personnel. Again, not really looking at too much. James Pattinson, each time you think, does Nathan Coulter-Nile come back? Each time you're saying Pattinson's done good enough for job, Joy.
No, I think Coulter-Nile will come back when he's fit, because I think he's not totally fit. They feel that he still needs to get a little bit of the thing. But Mumbai is that way very clear. If Coulter-Nile is their go-to bowler to start with, even if Pattinson bowled well for 3-4 matches, they'll go back to Coulter-Nile. The question is, I don't see if you look at those two sides, you'll say Mumbai is a better side. Okay, on paper, Mumbai is a better side, no matter what happens. So what happens is, if you have a better side, you tend to play your set combination. If you, Hyderabad, consider yourself the underdogs, you're going to say, what can I do different to change the look of this match? I'm not going to beat them. If it's a straight to straight, I play conventionally, he plays conventionally, I'm not going to win this. Can I just change it a bit? Can I get Stanlake in? Can I change it? Can I bring a spinner in early? Can I open with Rashid Khan? Can I do something to unsettle Mumbai? Because if I don't, I think Mumbai is a clear favorite.
A tough side to
Just trying to look
unsettle,
for
Simon.
Quinton de Kock's numbers. He hasn't had a great start to the tournament, has he? Is there an option? Is there an option for Mumbai if he doesn't keep any of the others? Keep Suryakumar Yadav, Ishan Kishan.
Ishan Kishan is the keeper.
Ishan Kishan's the keeper, isn't he? That's right. Yeah. So he could keep, and they could find they could bring Lynn in if they wanted to. They may even be able to bring Shirfane Rutherford in and move Suryakumar or Ishan Kishan up to the top of the order with Rohit Sharma. So there is that one option, perhaps, to strengthen the middle order batting with a Rutherford, or to bring Chris Lynn in at the top and leave Quinton de Kock out. I mean, that's about the only little thing I think that they might be looking at.
The only one counter to that is Chris Lynn couldn't buy a run even in the Caribbean. So I wonder if he's had enough time to recover.
Yeah, he's one-dimensional, I think, now as well. He can only bat. He can't field, doesn't bowl. So, my option would probably be more Shirfane Rutherford.
Absolutely. But don't forget, this was the ground where Chris Lynn got 46 for KKR and then had that crazy catch where he fell down on the ground, tried to get up, fell down on the ground, and then came up like literally vertically and took that catch. And that changed the match, because that was, I think it was A.B. de Villiers, which is a 6 in the boundary. But so there's history there. But yeah, those are not the kind of things that they'll be looking at. You're right. Probably Shirfane Rutherford under circumstances. What you say, Simon, so often, 1 out of 3 players, guys who can do only 1 out of 3 things now are very difficult to accommodate in an IPL team.
And it becomes even worse when that one single suit of theirs was showing a little lack of form in the last tournament. Lots of match practice, but not enough time out there in the middle. A couple of teams will be playing as the sun starts to set and the weather becomes a little bit cooler, not the afternoon game. Punjab against Chennai. Now, both teams will have a point to prove. Both coming off a loss each. They will be in Dubai. And what is it that they can do to figure things out? Chennai, we've talked a lot about them. A few problems to sort out, but no better time than the present to try and sort it out on an evening game in Dubai. First and foremost, as we always do in our preview, is looking at the squads, trying to see if the problem lies in the composition of the 11. Chennai first. Simon.
The problem lies in the composition of the.
Sorry, Simon, I had to throw that one at you.
Yeah, it does. It lies in the composition of the 11. It's a very hard one. I mean, we've talked about this a lot. And what do they need to do? Hazelwood has got to come back in and play. They've got to find room for Josh Hazelwood. Now, I mean, how many chances for Shane Watson? I know Stephen Fleming, I heard him again yesterday, how loyal they are. It comes a time, and I think the time has come. They are 1 from 4, and they need to find a formula that can help them win the game. So for me, Watson out, Hazelwood in. That's the first one to start with. And then tinker with that batting lineup just a little bit. I guess Faf du Plessis, Ambati Raidu have to go to the top. Kedar Jadhav probably has to bat 3. And then you've got to get MS Dhoni in at 4. Something along those lines, I would think. And just use the fact that you're going to have those all-rounders. They've got to do a job. Jadu did a really nice job the other day. Bravo can do a job. Curran can do a job. So they may have to bat 5, 6, 7. And you've got to get runs out of the top. But you need that bowling strength.
The tragedy, Joy.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, well done, Simon. But at the end of all that, the tragedy is that you've got a couple of other guys who in many other teams would have been in that 11 in Mitch Santner and Imran Tahir. Both impact players. Santner's been huge in the Caribbean, even in a team that was doing woefully at the absolute bottom. He was the shining light there. But they can't really find their way in.
Yeah, I think the composition that they have right now, they can't. They can't, and that's because they're stuck in the way they've constructed their team. And the problem is that they don't have those Indian batsmen to go to. And I was just watching because, to put that problem, I know that, Stephen Fleming and Dhoni are looking at that same sheet and saying, okay, gentlemen, what are you going to do tomorrow? The only thing that I'm delighted about is that both those teams will be thinking, at least one of us is going to buy a win tomorrow, because, both of them are looking in such bad form right now that one team will be at least buoyed up saying, I've got a win over this weekend, because really, even Punjab, after that start that they have, they're looking very, very dicey.
Yep, and there's a confirmation of what Chennai have done so far. Won that first game in a run chase and then lost the next three. Punjab won the first, lost the first, won the second, and then back-to-back losses against Rajasthan and Mumbai. And this is where they come up against Chennai with another game against Hyderabad coming up at the same stadium. But if you have a look at the composition of their side, Simon a few minutes ago alluded to the fact they've got two of the top run scorers in their ranks, but they're second from bottom in KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal. So certainly those are the two assets. But is there anything more? Any other problems they have to deal with at the bottom? Chris Jordan's been a huge issue. Mujibur Rahman's there. There's a chap called Christopher Henry Gale, who's, as we said, entertaining as ever. But is it time finally to try and give him that one game where he can change things around?
Look, I don't think jail is a long-term solution to any of their problems. Their problem is simple. They don't have death bowling. There's nobody there supporting Shami. Their bowling looks, they don't seem to be able to construct it. And if they lose their openers, other people don't seem to get it through. Jimmy Neesham is a bit of a disappointment for me. He's just not showing the kind of form. I think, again, Jimmy Neesham's the kind of player who probably suits conditions better, which are not in the subcontinent. I mean, I have not seen him really do that well in the subcontinent. He's done elsewhere. So they may look at composition. They may also have to be brave and say that, we'll play Mujib instead of Jimmy Neesham and say, let's get a bowler, because Mujib can make things happen. As Simon always says, get a bowler in if you have the opportunity. Get a class bowler in.
And that was their problem last time, Simon. 18 and 20. Who bowled it? That cost them the game pretty much.
Yeah, I don't think KL had his best captaincy game. I think he's had a reasonably good time, but I don't think he had his best captaincy game in the last one. Just found wanting a little bit at the back end, having to use Neesham. Look, he's not a death bowler, and he went around the park, and there's been enough written and said about that over in social media in the last couple of days between certain commentators and James Neesham himself. And I'm not sure why they get into it, but hey, they decide to. Or again, I'll go. What about Maxwell? Why is he still playing? He's had 4 cracks. He's got 30 runs. The way he's getting out is disappointing. Maybe he deserves a couple of games on the bench as well. Everybody talks about, just because you pay a guy massive money, it doesn't mean you have to play him if he's not performing. So, find a way to maybe get another batsman into that order. Yes, Mujib, if you can get Mujib in as well for Neesham. It's time they made a couple of changes in and around the fact that they need to get some better death bowling options or some better bowling options up front, so they don't have to bowl the likes of Cottrell and Shami too much up front, and they can stay and be saved a little bit for the death. Get a young kid, get Ishan Porel in there, give him an opportunity to bat. I don't see any problem with that.
Yeah, not too different a problem from Shane Watson in Chennai. Reputation, big money, hanging on to them, loyalty. Just don't want to let him go. But this is despite the fact that Maxwell, unlike Watson, is giving you both the dimensions. He is bowling a bit, but in neither of them has he been able to win matches for you. So there's points to ponder for both those sides, both Punjab and Chennai. So what a contrasting Sunday we have tomorrow. Two sort of winningest type teams in the afternoon playing in Sharjah, expecting a huge run fest, and two teams at the very bottom trying, not far from where the Burj Khalifa is at the Dubai International Stadium, to try and climb upwards. There's only one way you can climb, is upwards. Now, it seems a long time ago, many, many hours ago, yesterday, in fact, in Indian Standard Time, Simon, you're still on Saturday night, when Joy asked us the Joy Factor question. I've actually completely forgotten it. So please refresh my memory, and let's refresh everyone's memory.
Okay, 4 players in Kolkata squad played in the 2018 ICC Under-19 World Cup. 3 of them are Shubman Gill, Shivam Mavi and Kamlesh Nagarkoti, who is the 4th. And obviously, there's a little bit of a trick there. It's not really a trick. It's that it's not necessarily an Indian player. The fourth is, of course, Tom Banton, who was there, who had actually one amazing knock in that tournament. And that's the answer. And I think compared to most of my questions, this is a fairly easy full toss. And we got answers in about 15 seconds, but whatever. Yeah, got about 200 answers in 15 seconds.
I must confess, Joy, I spotted the googly in the question the second you asked it. I knew it was going to be an overseas, but I couldn't for the life of me think of who. So I saw the full toss, got it in the middle of the bat, caught it square leg. So I did part of it, didn't do the other part, but somebody obviously got it right in a few seconds flat. And that is Shayantan Day. Shayantan Day, 165. Joy, neighbor of yours, former neighbor of yours?
No, but nice, as I said, probably born on the 16th of May, going by the name. Otherwise, yeah. No, good to see a Bengali winning one on KKR's match day, though they didn't have a great day to talk about.
Yep. And maybe the fact that you're talking about Tom Banton, he should be a talking point very, very soon for the franchise, because that's, as we mentioned right now, so many changes, and that's one of them that we should expect soon. Well, that brings us to the end of a very, very long Saturday, the first of a few doubleheaders to come, and it can be tiring, not just for the players with stamina, but for all of us as well. But we are delighted to bring it to you, delighted to have lots of wonderful conversation, chips, popcorn, the works, all of it. And we'll have much more to come tomorrow. Simon Doull will be loving the heat in Sharjah, but we'll be here on My 11 Circle Presents Cricbuzz Live to bring you much more cricket, conversation, and so much more. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Joy. We'll see you all in a few hours' time.